Hey, this is Josh from Upright Health. Today we're going to talk about feet width in the squat. So one big mistake I see a lot of people make, especially when they just get into squatting, maybe they're just a beginner, they haven't done a lot of squatting before in the past, is that they take a very wide stance, okay? Now, I get this. This makes sense because, what you might think is, hey, a wider base of support is going to be better, right? Well, let's get into why this might not be optimal for you, okay? So for most people, I recommend taking about a shoulder width stance, okay? Something a little bit wider than hip width, but on the moderate side, right? We don't want anything too narrow, and we don't want to get super wide. So why is this? So in the squat, if we're squatting, if we are trying to do a very efficient squat, when we squat our hips down to the knees or below and back up, what has to go on at the hip joint here is we have to externally rotate. Now you don't really need to know what that means. All you really need to know is that we don't want our knees coming in at all. We want our knees to track right over the ankles and the toes here, okay? So what happens when these knees come in is that we lose force from our backside. These muscles that we really want to use, the glutes and the hamstrings, and this becomes a very unstable position to be in when these knees collapse, ankles are going to collapse. Now, you're going to be at more risk of injuring something, and you're not going to have a very strong, powerful squat, okay? So let's get back into this mistake. If we take a really, really wide stance here, even if you have very good hip mobility, but specifically if you don't have, especially if you don't have good hip mobility, then the chances are, once this squat is challenged at all by either maybe holding a weight, putting a weight on your back, or if you're just tired, what's going to happen? Your knees are going to come in, right? Because they don't have very much space to get out over those toes. You have to really, really force them out there, okay? And especially if you don't have good hip mobility, that's going to be really, really hard to do, all right? So this is a mistake I see over and over again. So we have to take this too wide a stance, and now the knees are tracking in towards the midline, okay? So what happens a lot of times, they'll have somebody, let's bring your feet much farther in. Now, the first time that they squat like this, it's probably not going to feel that comfortable. They're going to be like, just doesn't feel normal. And that's fine because it's foreign, right? You're used to your wider stance squat. But usually if we practice this a few sets, maybe it takes a couple days, maybe it takes a couple weeks, but eventually their squat starts looking much, much better. Their knees track over their toes much better, and it's just a way more efficient squat. They're able to use that backside a lot better and produce the force where we want to produce those forces. All right, guys, if you're having any troubles with those knees caving in, think about maybe just bringing your stance in a little bit, see if that helps you out at all. Hey, remember, pain sucks, life shouldn't.